and Raiders of the Lost Ark. So Brian Muir, ladies and gentlemen. And the next gentleman to my left, Michael Henbury, who of course was an Ewok in episode 6, Return of the Jedi. But he's also been in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. He was a goblin in Labyrinth, acting opposite David Bowie, and of course in Willow. So ladies and gentlemen, Michael Henbury. And of course, last but by no means least, as a child I knew him as a Green Cross Code man. You also know him as Darth Vader. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Prowse. Okay, so as I said, I've got a few questions before we open it up to the general public. So my first question goes out to Dave and Michael. And the question is, in your opinion, what is the best Star Wars movie and why? So if I pass it over to Dave first.
Of the three, see, I was in episodes 4, 5 and 6, which was Star Wars, Empire and Jedi. And then they went, which were good movies, there were 3 good movies. Then they went back and did 1, 2, 3, which were absolute rubbish. And now they're doing 7, 8, 9. I don't know what the situation is as far as 7, 8, 9 are concerned. But of the 3 I did, thank you very much. Thank you. Of the 3 I did, I think obviously Star Wars was just sort of a huge adventure. People come up to me and they say, well, you know, what's Star Wars done for you, as it were? And I say, well, to be perfectly honest, it's done everything. It's life-changing. It really has been life-changing. But I enjoyed working on all 3 movies. But I think the second one, Star Wars, I think Empire was probably my favourite.
Lovely, thank you, Dave. And the same question to you, Michael.
Hello?
We've got a microphone problem. There we go.
Hello.
That's it.
Well, it has to be Return of the Jedi because of the Ewoks. And we all know how wonderful the Ewoks are, and we defeated Darth Vader. So it has to be Return of the Jedi.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, the second question is going especially out to Brian. And the question is, how did you get to make the masks for Star Wars and other movies? And do you get a call from film companies or do you contact them?
On the first Star Wars, I was actually contacted to go on to the film. I went on to the film at the beginning of January 1976 and started off by actually sculpting the Stormtrooper armour. I was only promised 6 weeks at the time. I was very young, I was only 23, although I'd started in the film industry at 16, straight from school. I think in a way, they were testing me out to see what I could do. They were happy with what I did on the Stormtrooper, and the next character was Darth Vader. I actually sculpted Darth Vader on a plaster model of Dave. The plasterers moulded Dave and presented him in plaster. So when I sculpted Darth Vader on the plaster model of Dave, we knew that it would then fit back onto him.
Lovely, thank you. Obviously, very, very iconic image. So thank you very much, Brian, for the sculpture. That will always be in our memory. Okay. Question number 3, this is going out to Dave and Michael. And quite simply, how did you get your parts in Star Wars? So I'll pass that to Dave first.
It was quite interesting actually, because I got a phone call from my agent, and my agent says, can you go up to the 20th Century Fox offices in London? Because there's a gentleman called George Lucas who wants to see you. So I had no idea what it was all about. I went up to the 20th Century Fox offices and I met up with Peter Beale, who was the managing director of 20th Century Fox in the UK. And he then took me into a room and introduced me to this young, what I call student-looking guy, who was George Lucas, you see. And then George Lucas took me into another room and showed me all these drawings on the wall, the whole wall. I suppose the room was about half the size of this, but the walls were covered with drawings. And George said these are all conceptual drawings of this movie that I'm going to do. It's called Star Wars, you see. And he said, I'd like to offer you a part in the movie. So I said, well, that's very kind of you. I said, well, you know, what's the part? He said, well, you've got a choice. You can either play a character called Chewbacca, or alternatively, you can play the big villain of the film, the character called Darth Vader, you see. So I thought to myself, well, do I want to play Chewbacca, which is like a hairy gorilla? And I didn't give that one any more thought. And of course, Peter Mayhew came in and eventually took it over. And I opted to play Darth Vader. It was as simple as that. I didn't have to read, I didn't have to do anything. And then I turned around and I said, well, excuse me asking you. I said, how did you know of me? Because I've never worked with you and I've never met you. And he said, oh, he said, I saw you in Stanley Kubrick's Clockwork Orange. He said, if you're good enough for Stanley Kubrick, you're good enough for me. And that was it. That's all I had, yeah.